Marilyn Rollins, or Rollins Curci, and Dee Allen, and my co-writer, Ed Fik.
Okay, Robert, would you like to ask your guests some questions?
You.
Okay.
Because I'm pulling a blank right now.
Okay, yeah, understandable. So how did you feel about your roles in the film, and especially recounting this really incredible accomplishment in a backyard in Arcadia?
Marilyn, why don't you go first?
Oh gosh, I'm not very good at public speaking, but like I said, I think in the movie, it was such a family affair, and it was such a neighborhood affair. My girlfriend Joanne is up there. Raise your hand, Joanne, who lived behind us. Her brother helped on the boat.
Oh, wow.
Showed our backyard where Joanne and I used to have performances and entertain the animals. But, you know, it was just everybody coming together in a dream of my dad's. And I didn't know life any other way. It was just always out in the yard. I didn't do too much. My mom and I, finally, when the boat was built, we were able to buy the curtains and the dishes and all the fun things. But the rest of the time, I think I was just running around in the way of everybody.
How old were you at the time?
Well, 9 when she went in the Transpac.
Okay.
We started about 3 years before that. And Joanne and I got sent to camp together. So
Yes,
I had we didn't get to go into Hawaii.
Oh.
Happy that everybody's here today. supporting.
I was going to ask Jim.
Jim, okay.
Jim,
Yes.
you and my dad were the primary builders next to my grandfather. How did it feel? Can you tell a little bit about it?
Yeah, I think there was another fellow that came from, to help. So we had at least 3 of us. Yeah, so it was a great, thing, and of course I was just 14 when we started.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were my dad's best friend growing up. Now, how did you come into it? I know you always showed interest, but what was the origin of you deciding to join the building of the boat?
Well, it was really a matter of deciding, which is Bob and I did everything together. Bob was working on the boat, so I just joined him along with Ernie down at the end of the street to work on the boat. It was great.
Now, everybody who worked on the boat all lived in the same proximity, correct?
Now, so we all lived in our 80. Bob lived at 360 West Las Flores, right straight down the street. At the other end was Ernie, and I lived a block south and half a block over, so we were all in walking distance with each other. And Bob and Ernie and I all went to high school together, graduated together, went to SC together, so one of those things.
So whose big idea was this, and how did you feel about it at the start?
It was Bob Rollins Sr.'s
Right.
big idea. I just got to ride along with it. It was super fun, lifetime experience.
Didn't even think twice about it, just joined right in?
Lifetime
and-
twice about it.
Wow.
Marilyn, your thoughts?
Well, just, from being a kid, my dad was one of these people who would never sit home on the weekends, and so he always had us going in the car, going up to Yosemite, going to Catalina on the old Friendship, and he just always was enrolling us in being active. I mean, we'd go to Catalina and he'd go, okay, now you're gonna get in the rowboat and you're gonna learn to row it. Now you're gonna scull with one oar at the end of the boat. I've never had to use that, but I learned. But yeah, he was just always one of those that kept active. He was on the USC ski team and just a gregarious guy that pulled everybody in. Do you have anything else you want to add about Dad and how he got all of us going all the time?
Go ahead. I want to say one thing, though. What I find that's neat about watching this and even putting it together is that you see these 3, but when you watch the film, you see them when they were young and vital, and this is their story. And it's
We're pretty vital now.
I'll get a couple of crash pads. But when you're young, I mean, most people, when they see their parents, they don't really think of their youth and that they were the same age as they were at one time. And that's the reward of this, so that everybody can see.
And tearful. This movie makes you cry a lot. When I see my dad, Dee, all the guys young that were always around the house and stuff, and yeah, it's a very tearful moment to see the family together and happy. It was probably the happiest times of our lives back then.
Now that was true for you too as well, wasn't it, making this film, seeing your dad at that young age and someone that you didn't know?
Well, I knew my dad, but
Yeah, but I know.
but he was dad.
In that way, right.
I mean, dad would be wonderfully warm, but because I had a mouth on me, he could be horribly scary.
Sure. I had one of those.
Yeah. I mean, Ronnie and I were just talking about it, about how we were when we were young, or I remember more me being the mouthy one. I'm sure my mom could attest to that. But no, the reward to me was, when my dad died in 2015, my memory of my dad for the longest was how he was the last time I saw him. And when I started this project, I didn't really see it. And when I started unearthing all this material, because it came in waves, week after week, day after day, and once I got to see Dad's picture, or the film especially, that wonderful Kodachrome film, and you see him in his the teens and then in his 20s, and it's like that became my memory of my dad, which supplanted the one that was the last I saw of him. I can't even see him then. I see him as a 21-year-old. And I'd rather have that memory.
Sure.
And I think I mentioned this before. I used to say to Mom, because one of my favorite movies of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I always would say, Mom, I wish Dad was like Harrison Ford. I would like Indiana Jones. Well, my God, Dad was Indiana Jones. You saw him up on that damn sprinter. So it's the best gift I could have, and I hope he would have enjoyed this.
If I might just add one thing, I think Dee and Jimmy and I are so grateful for all the pictures that have been unearthed, thanks to Robert going through Richie, Joan, and Jimmy's garage, and my pictures and everybody's pictures. It really brought a lot to life that we hadn't seen or heard for years. So we're deeply proud of you and deeply grateful, and I'm not going to get emotional, but really
General, and thank you for all your thousands of hours putting it all together.
yeah.
So, screenwriter, what I know is that there were a lot of interviews, but I really had an appreciation for the narration that Jack Currington did that tied it all together. And are those the parts that you wrote?
Well, Rob sent me the clips that he was going to use and transcripts. So it was a matter of kind of going through, pairing up the images with this wonderful story about a dream and making it happen for not just one person, but for 7 people that were on the boat and the whole family and the community that were putting the boat together. So I just wanted to try to capture the words and add to the lyricism of the story, because I thought the pictures just told so much.
Well, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
It was something I really noticed.
The one thing that Ed and I wanted to make sure when we were doing it, especially me as a director, sometimes directors can kind of step on the story and get in the way of it, is that this is their story here. My grandfather, my dad, Martin, Ernie, and the principal of Newport High School. It's their story. It's not for you to put yourself into it. It's for you to tell it and get out of the way. So I think that was the biggest thing of my job as a director, and I think Ed would agree with me on that.
Well, yeah. to use the pictures, to use their own words, and just to take the script, just to kind of transition, to link up these images, to link up what people were saying, yeah.
Okay. This was really a special treat to have all of you up here to answer questions about the film and your experience and your involvement in the building of the friendship. I apologize to the audience. There is a screening coming up. I'm sorry we didn't have time for your questions, but you can meet Robert and his family, please, outside the theater so that things can be cleaned up for the next screening. Thanks very much. And we do need to